connection. My webcam doesn't want to work. All right. The Carol after Edgar Allan Poe. Did you guys print that out at home? Who doesn't have it? No, that's okay. I have lots of copies. Because I made copies and then I put them on Sycamore, so I didn't know who would have it and who wouldn't. Anyone? Okay, we're going to get this out and work on it right now. You have it? Got it. Do you have your pen? Okay. Kayla, do you have it? Yeah. Lauren? Okay. You what? So, no, that was fine. I did want you to get it out and read it. I didn't know if you guys had just looked at it online. So, as you know, because it's got this in the title, the Carol after Edgar Allan Poe was written in the same manner as The Raven was. Now, you guys are not going, all the other classes are memorizing a couple verses of The Raven. My 7th graders have divided them all up. We're going to memorize the whole thing. You guys, though, are going to be doing this. You're not going to be doing the whole thing, but you're going to have a part, because it's kind of a little, it's not a play, but if we were going to perform it some places, we would have Scrooge sitting in a chair napping, and then we'd have the spirits approach him. And so we're going to fool around with that and do it, but we're not really going to perform it for anybody. We may record it. We'll see. And the way that we usually do this, or that I have done it in the past, is that you dress up. Now, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be full dress. You don't have to go find a Victorian dress to wear. But wearing a shawl and some of the old hats, and I do have a couple of those kinds of things, or for the boys wearing the top hat. So just, either a hat or a shawl, a vest for the boys, and then it's fun, like I said, it's fun to kind of act this out. It's a very small thing, so it's not like a big play. So if we can get it to the point with only meeting one day a week, and we can rehearse it and record it, or even if you don't have costumes, I think it will still be fun to do it. I even have an old crutch that whoever is Tiny Tim, and I didn't put him up here, whoever is Tiny Tim could use the old crutch. So first I'm going to read the poem. We're going to talk a little bit about the characters. That was part of the synopsis. Did you guys read that, the synopsis of A Christmas Carol? Does everybody know what A Christmas Carol is about? Have you seen it before? Mean old Scrooge. And so we'll talk about that a little bit, but then the characters for you guys to decide which characters you want to be. So here we go with the poem. Once upon a midnight dreary, came a phantom, grim and eerie, into Mr. Scrooge's mansion, right up to his chamber door. When it entered without tapping, Scrooge was sitting gently lapping gruel, and very nearly napping on that Christmas Eve of yore. All this happened on that foggy night long years before, merely this and nothing more. It was in the bleak December, very cold, you may remember. Scrooge's fire, one single ember, casts no shadow on the floor. Summer breeze or northeast freezer were the same to Ebenezer. Lean as Cassius, hard as Caesar. That was Scrooge the night before. Marley's ghost and his 3 spirits came in through the heavy door, double locked by Scrooge before. Give me comfort, ghost of Marley. No, I can't. I've come to parley of your dark and murky future, show you what you have in store. Scrooge felt anxious at this greeting. He disliked this midnight meeting, and the ghost, who hated heating, from his head the bandage tore. Cooling thus his burning brow and letting drop his lower jaw, Scrooge collapsed upon the floor. Then the ghost, with no uncertain step, moved to the casement curtain, lifted high the frosted window, and there came a muffled roar. Scrooge, now quit your kneeling posture. Come and see, it's no imposture. All these phantoms, at least most, your cronies were in days of yore. merchants, bankers, men of business, happy once, now groaning sore, listen to their moaning more. I have come to give you warning. Close on 12 on early morning. 3 more ghosts will pay you visits. Counting me, that just makes 4. I indeed am not returning. Scrooge was very nearly turning blue with cold. No fire was burning, and the night air came in force. So he jumped into his bed and closed his eyes, began to snore. Went to sleep, knew nothing more. Ghosts of Christmas past and present came with warnings far from pleasant. But the last of these 3 spirits pierced his conscience to the core. Down he fell in abject terror, till at length he spied a tremor in the phantom, saw his error, saw the ghost was nothing more than his old familiar bedpost. Merely this and nothing more. Now the fearful dream was o'er. Scrooge awakened from his dreaming, found the morning sun was streaming in his dark and dingy chamber from the ceiling to the floor. He became a kinder master, saved the Cratchits from disaster. Almost he became a plaster saint, the wicked Scrooge of yore. No more spirits, no more phantoms, no more humbug anymore. That's the end and nothing more. So McNulty is the author of this poem, and he does a good job of actually pulling in some of the pieces of the Raven. So as you looked at this, what were some of the things that you felt like both of those poems had in common besides the general beat and movement of the poem? What were some other things? Family on the 2. So we have the Once Upon a Midnight Dreary. Just looking to see if I have my copy of the Raven out here in front of me. The last line? Okay. And also, in most of those, you have something negative, merely this and nothing more. Double locked, that doesn't really. Scrooge collapsed, listened to their moaning, went to sleep, nothing more. You've got that again. Now the fearful dream was o'er, that's the end and nothing more. So that was a similarity of getting that short line, but then also some negativity in there. What else? Got the second stanza of both refer to the bleakness of December, although they're a little bit reversed. The Raven is odd distinctly, I remember it was in the bleak December. McNulty says it was in the bleak December, very cold, you may remember. Other things. What about the curtain? We don't have a purple curtain with Scrooge, but there's a curtain that... Let me see, which one is it in? Anybody, is it jumping out to anybody? Yes. I didn't, I don't have thermometers. They usually bring one up from the office. Is it my imagination or is there a curtain somewhere? You guys aren't falling asleep again, are you? You what, Maria? You need more candy. If we find the curtain. Fourth one down. Yes, the casement curtain. Lifted high frosted window. Yes.
There's also the Edward
Yeah, so in one scenario, we do have a shadow, but in this one, it very clearly, there was no shadow. Scrooge's fire, one single ember, casts no shadow, whereas in the other one, I'm probably not going to be able to find it, each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. We're going to get Tempest Guy guys, so put your heads up. Wake up for a minute. They're very sleepy. Maybe this will zap them into being awake. Anything else that you see in there? We know it's night, we know it's dark, we know it's kind of dreary. It says that in both, Once Upon a Midnight Dreary. What comes in the Edgar Allan Poe poem? What comes to visit him? Creepy things, yeah. So I was expecting you to say raven, but she said creepy things. So the raven is kind of a mysterious bird, black, kind of dreary, dark. We saw a lot of them when we were in Alaska. They were all over the place. And they're really big. They're bigger than normal birds. And they will, they'll kind of hunker, they'll go after anything, after any kind of food. And so they're a little bit scary. And so when this dark ebony bird comes and props on the statue, and just kind of stays there and is making these calling sounds that sound like nothing more or nevermore, it's a little scary. But in the other poem, what do we have come up to the chamber door? Yeah, which one is it? Anybody remember who comes up to the chamber door? Jacob Marley, this guy right here. He was Scrooge's partner, and he has died previous years before. Scrooge knows he has died, so he's rather shocked when he comes up to his door. And he's got these bandages around his head, or at least that's the way the movies and the book portray it. I don't know if you can see it over there. I don't know why it's there. Maybe that's better. And he comes with the purpose, he's kind of the introduction to the whole thing. And he says, this is what's going to happen, Scrooge. 3 more guys, past, present, and future. And I didn't write Christmas, Spirit of Christmas Past, just write them like that. Now, what else happens to Scrooge as we think about the synopsis of the story? He has past, present, and future. Who are all these other people? Anybody tell me, Maria? Yes. Yeah. So Scrooge, so just imagine that, we have this nice big office, and I've got this big fire roaring over here beside me, and you sit back there, and you've got this little teeny tiny fire back there. And I'm not even going to let you have an extra log today. And I'm going to make you stay a couple hours longer. And I'm paying you basically pennies to come and work for me. So that's kind of how Scrooge was. He was really he would look at Bob and say, oh, look at all I'm doing for you. I've given you this office. I've given you Christmas Day off. Why do you need Christmas Eve off? And so he's very much one of these people who's just in his own world, not caring about anybody else. All right, so we've identified the Cratchits. Mr. Cratchit, I don't want to say there's 6 or 7 kids. There's a lot of them. The older ones work. Martha. Mrs. Cratchit is a little bit Cratchity. Don't you like that? She's got a chip on her shoulder. She is ticked off at Scrooge for the way he's treated her family. Martha, is that Mrs. Cratchit or is that the oldest daughter? I think that's the oldest daughter, and I lose the name. She works in a hat factory. Who is Fan? Who knows who Fan is? Fan is Scrooge's sister. And you see when the spirit is visiting Christmas past, you see some scenes where they're together. How about Belle? Who knows who Belle is? Once upon a time, that was Scrooge's love interest. And he was so wrapped up in his own world at that point that he kind of let her go and didn't pursue a relationship with her or pursue marrying her. And you'll see that also in past. I think in future you actually see her happy, but I can't remember. Somebody dies. Who's Fezziwig? Anybody know who Fezziwig is? He's a businessman. Do you know who he is? Some happy guy? Yeah, he is a happy guy. He's probably, got a little tummy on him. And he's probably bald, wearing one of those top hats. And he has a party. He wouldn't be able to have it this year. They'd have to stay distant. But he has a party. And he was one of Scrooge's early bosses. So he was a mentor to Scrooge. And so you see as they visit the past, some of the parties that he went to. Fezziwig was such a nice guy. You wonder how he didn't rub off a little bit more on Scrooge. Who's Fred? Scrooge. Yep, Scrooge's nephew, daughter to Fan. Did we get everybody? And then there's a couple of what they call portly gentlemen in the character synopsis. I don't think we'll need any of the portly gentlemen. So we're going to be doing a couple of things with this. We're talking a little bit. I don't know if you've hit this period in history or not, but the Victorian era was during the life of whom? The Victorian era? Queen Victoria. Yeah, and so during this time, there's a lot of intellectual development. You have a lot of authors, Dickens, I should have written a list of the different authors, but he's one of the more popular of the time. And do you know how his stories are published? Anybody have an idea? Newspapers were very popular at the time. Back when I was growing up, women, young moms, would watch what was called soap operas. Anybody ever watched any of those? They come on during the day.
My mom says they're really cheesy.
They are.
Yeah, that's like the entire point.
Yeah, my grandmother used to watch them. And she would do all her work in the morning and eat her lunch, and then she'd be like, okay, it's time for my stories. And she would sit there all afternoon and she would watch these different soaps. Well, back in the 1800s, in the Victorian era, when newspapers were the news of the day, that's what everybody waited for. We didn't have radios yet, we didn't have TVs yet. People would go to theater, but the big thing was the newspapers that would then publish the chapters of these different stories. And so Christmas Carol would have been published in segments. Eventually it was published in book form. But the same with all of Dickens, or I'm going to say most, because when I say all, you'll come back and say, no, that one wasn't. But most of Dickens' work would have been published in little segments in the newspapers. And so newspapers were just, that was the lifeblood at that time. That's how you found out the news, but it was also how you were entertained. And often the dad or the mom would read it aloud to the whole family, and it was the after-dinner entertainment at home. Rich and poor alike could partake in that entertainment. Other things in the Victorian era were not as friendly to the whole population. It was very much a population divided. You had the very wealthy and you had the very poor. And you see that in A Christmas Carol. You see the very wealthy, who is Scrooge, and the very poor, who is the Cratchit family. And so one of the things Dickens did really well was to comment on what was going on in his culture around him. We see that in Oliver, with an orphan. In any of his stories, you're going to see this stark contrast between the rich and poor. It was very important to be intellectual and hoity. I love these words. Hoity-toity. Have I ever used that in class? Hoity-toity means that you think you're a notch above the rest. Very arrogant, very stuck on self, and part of the either the royal circles or the business circles, but the big difference between the classes. Those who are imprisoned are treated very unjustly. They're often cold, they don't get food. So you often see Dickens commenting even on that. His father was in a debtor's prison, and so you would see a lot of that coming out. So he uses his writing to actually give us a taste into the Victorian era. I'm going to insert other little things about Victorian England, and on our last day of school, we're going to practice this little poem thing, try to record it. We're going to play some Victorian games. I'm going to bring some food. I'm not going to ask you guys to make food, but I'll bring like scones and tea and things like that. So it'll be kind of a little tea party, but I don't want you guys fixing it, and we'll somehow have little plates made up or something in order to work around COVID. So anyway, I'm planning to do that, so you guys don't have to do all that. But anyway, we'll have some fun on that last day of school, and hopefully you'll learn a little bit about Victorian England at that time. So one of the things that we need to do, let me check the time, is divide up the characters. Because when we read the poem, it's helpful when we read the poem that says, I have come to give you warning, close on, early morning, 3 more ghosts. It's helpful if we know, if Jacob Marley, we're not ready to go yet, are we? It's only like 9:45. Are you all ready to go? No? Okay. So it's helpful to know who the different people are and give you specific lines in the poem. So we've already had somebody pipe in on who they want to be. So and you want to do past? Huh? Future. Does anybody want to argue with Maria for Christmas future?
Future doesn't say anything, so I think that we're here to just have like a...
She'll have some lines.
Yeah.
We're going to make her have some lines.
It's basically the Grim Reaper.
Yeah, it is like the Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
She might have some more motions than words, but... So we'll make that Maria if nobody wants to fight her for it. All right, so does anybody else have this? Remember, you guys are here today, so you basically get to choose, and then I will assign to everybody else. Who do you want to be? You want to be Scrooge? All right. Anybody else want it to be Scrooge that we have to flip for it? No. Okay. So we are going to K-A-R-I-C-E, right? All right. Anybody else that has a specific? You want to be Fezziwig? You're going to have to put a pillow in your... Okay, you'll do that? So she wants to be Fezziwig. I love this because normally only the boys want to be the boys' parts and the girls want to be the girls' parts, but I love this. Okay. Yes, that sounds like a good idea. Where's Jacob? Okay, here he is. So we can get rid of this guy. So this is going to be Luke. All right. How about, somebody else. Kayla, do you have a character in mind? We definitely need past and present. You want to? That would be pretty funny. You want to be Tiny Tim? That would actually be kind of funny, I think. Let's do that. All right. Let's see. We still have Katie and Kayla. The easiest? Oh, I don't. Well, we need past and present. They're actually pretty easy to make you look ghostly with sheets. You what? You want to be one of the gentlemen?
Luke's Belle. No, Al, you should be Belle.
All right.
I'll be present.
You want to be present. All right. Am I spelling it right? Okay. All right. So I think we've got everybody in here. We've still got John. Should we make him past?
We should Oh God!
No,
Don't
we
make
can't.
him. Don't make him Belle.
Wait.
Well, how about we make Bella Belle?
Don't make him Belle.
Wait.
Don't make Bella Belle?
No, don't make Wesley Belle.
Oh, I'm not going to make Wesley.
Oh, you should make Belle.
Oh, I won't. But Bella would be okay?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm not.
Have Wesley be Mark.
Well, I don't think you have any interactions.
Have
Let's see. How about if we have Wesley be Fred? Well, we don't really need, I would like a Fred.
No, it's totally a Martin.
No, I'm going to make Wesley Fred.
No.
And we'll make John Past. All right. So I think we have all our characters. Now we need to go through and assign.
Should be Cratchit.
Oh, who did I forget?
Ava.
Oh, Ava.
Cratchit.
Well, you don't really need him in there very much. Let's make her we'll make her one of these.
Wait, who else?
Martha or Fran, she could choose. All right, so now we need to go down and break out the poem in the lines you're going to be doing. Now, obviously, you're not going to have very many lines. It should be easy to memorize. So, let's begin with, oh, I hate these things. There we go. All right, how about we'll have Jacob Marley start it. Once upon a midnight dreary came a phantom grim and eerie into Mr. Scrooge's mansion, right up to his chamber door. When it entered without tapping, Scrooge was nearly napping. So those first three lines are going to be Jacob Marley, or who is that? Luke. So Luke, you have the first three. You should actually go all the way down to gruel. So gently lapping gruel. Then somebody else will pick up and say, and very, very nearly napping. How about if that is, let's see. So Karis, we're gonna make you a little nightcap, and you'll sit there and act like you're napping. How about if we'll have Fezziwig pick up from there. So Fezziwig, you're gonna do the next three. And very nearly napping on that Christmas. All right. It was in the bleak December, very cold. You may remember Scrooge's fire, one single ember, cast no shadow on the floor. Summer breeze or northeast freezer were the same to Ebenezer. We'll have Ava do that. Yeah, we're going to get you down probably a little further here. So this would be Martha or Fran. We're going to try to do it in 3-line segments, but a couple people may have some additional lines. Lean on Cassius, heart of Caesar, all the way through double locks. Let's do Fred on that. Wesley. All right, then Scrooge, you're actually going to play it probably a couple places. Give me comfort, Ghost of Marley. You're going to say that. Give me just that line. And then Jacob Marley, you're going to say, no, I can't. I've come to parley of your dark and murky future, show you what you have in store. And this is Scrooge. And the ghost, and then somebody else is going to be saying this, but Jacob, you're going to be getting hot. We'll get you some kind of bandage. We'll have you pulling that bandage off. Let's have Katie, our portly gentleman, is going to read, and the ghost who hated heating, all the way down to Scrooge collapsed upon the floor.
Wait, who's reading the Scrooge? Oh, the reading part.
The what?
Who's reading the middle line of that?
Scrooge fell. Katie, let's have you read all 4 of those lines. You think you can do all 4 of those? Okay. Scrooge felt anxious at this greeting he disliked. So anytime there's a reference to how they're acting, we want to see the acting. So hopefully you guys can do that. Let's see. Who are we going to get in the next 3? Let's get I want to hold off on the ghosts until that one. We don't have Belle yet, do we? Let's get Bella in the first 3 of the 4th verse, and we'll do Tiny Tim for the last 3 of that. All right, then, so we have Luke doing a lot here. Maybe Luke, we're going to scratch you off the first 3. The very first 3. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of giving you some additional here. So you're going to do all the way down to I indeed am not returning. And then, let's see. We're running out of people. I already gave Wesley something, right? Let me put that on hold. Okay. So we're going to have Christmas Past. We're going to have John read the first 3 of the next to last verse. Kayla will read the last 3. So we have those of Christmas Past and Present came with warnings. That'll be John all the way down through Trimmer. Kayla, you'll pick up In the Phantom, Saw His Error, Saw the Ghost Was Nothing More. And then let's get Maria there for the first 3. Yeah, can we do the first 4 of the last verse?
I feel like the ghost of future should be like reading the part that's talking about the
Oh, that's a good idea. Well, isn't that, but yeah, he became a kinder master, saved the Cratchits
I
from...
was thinking like the last of these 3 spirits here's the conscience. That's like...
All right, so you want to do, and we'll switch you and John?
That's just
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
We'll just switch you and John. And then Scrooge is going to do the last 2. No more spirits, no more phantoms, no more humbug anymore. That's the end and nothing more. So Scrooge will do those last 2 lines in addition to the others that he's got. All right, do I have anybody that I didn't give? Let's see, 1, 2, 3. You had all these phantoms, at least most. So you have the 4th verse, the last 3 lines. All these phantoms, yeah. And maybe I'll just read the first 3 to get it started. I just wrote Mom. Kind of like I'm your all's mom. I think I can remember my name. All right. So let's do a little run through here. So I'm going to start it, Lauren will pick up. So we'll just kind of go verse by verse. Once upon a midnight dreary came a phantom from eerie into Mr. Scrooge's mansion, right up to his chamber door. When it entered without tapping, Scrooge was sitting gently laughing drool. You want to pick it up, Lauren? And very nearly now. It's first verse, 4th one.
Oh.
Okay, so I start with Once Upon a Midnight Dreary with the first 3 lines in verse 4. Very gently laughing drool. And then you start in very nearly now. All right, then I have the second verse. Yeah, so when we get somewhere where we don't have anyone to figure that out. The second verse is Ava and Wesley, and so let me just fill in double blocked by Scrooge before. And now Scrooge is going to pick it up. Give me comfort, O Lord. I skipped, yeah. But you've got to really feel it. Give me comfort, Ghost of Marley. So work on that. And then Jacob. Luke is going to...
I've come to twilight of your dark and murky future. Show you what you have in store.
Now, Katie, the last 4 lines. Okay, then we have Bella, who's going to read all the way down to it's no imposter. Then we have Tiny Tim, all these families. Jordan.
All these phantoms, at least most, your cronies were in the days of yore, merchants, bakers, men of business, happy ones, now burning swords, and morning long.
All right, then I have Luke again.
I have come to give you warning, close on call, and first warning, 3 more ghosts before you visit the company that just makes 4. I indeed have not returned.
All right, and that's the part we didn't have. All right, so I will put a question mark there for the moment. Then we have to, where are we at? Okay, then we have Kayla and Phantom. Okay, then we'll have John, and then finally we'll finish up with Scrooge with no more spirit. All right, so I'll either do that middle part, or I'll divide it up with somebody else. So I've got it all written down. I'll send that out in a nice, neat, little neat email. All right, I will see you next week.